Robin Smith, welcome to the Share Chair.
Thank you very much for having me.
That's awesome. So we could talk to you about a lot of things. You're a Spring Lake a mom
I
of
am.
2 Spring Lake students.
Yes.
Sophomore Jake
And
and
8th grader Hannah.
you
Yeah.
work in the schools.
I work at Holmes, yep.
Eh.
I work with kids that are struggling with reading.
Oh,
It
that's
is my
cool.
total, for me, it is my make a difference job.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, it is my, I have a chance to do something that gives back a little bit.
Yeah.
And, it's so fun.
At like the most fundamental way
Yeah.
possible, helping kids read, right?
Exactly, you know, these little peanuts, just, you know, some of them are struggling just a little bit.
So I know there are just all these different reasons we could be speaking to you, but there was one in particular that kind of drew our attention, I guess, and that's the Boston Marathon
Yeah.
of 2013, right? Was I'm just getting chills even mentioning
Yeah.
it, was that bombing
Yeah.
at the Boston Marathon, and
Yeah.
you were there.
Yes. Scott was running the marathon.
Scott was running.
Your husband
My
was
husband,
running? Okay.
Scott, was running. We left the day before on the 14th
Okay.
of April and flew out to Boston.
Yeah.
And
The we is just the
Just
two of
the-
you.
the
You
two
and
of us,
Scott.
yep.
No, the kids
Yep.
didn't go.
No,
or
kids
anything.
didn't go. In
Okay.
hindsight, thank goodness
No
they
kidding.
didn't go.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. Just that night before, there's just everybody there. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just the amount of the spectators. It's held on Patriots Day.
Yeah.
So it's always like a real, you know, you're in Boston,
Boston,
and it's just
yeah.
really cool. The vibe was really cool. So we took pictures that night of me with the sign behind me with the big, you know, finish line sign and my sign, and he didn't want to touch the finish line. He had like
Okay.
some crazy like superstition
Yeah.
that he's like, no, I'll see that tomorrow.
There you go.
So yeah, we ate down there. Ironically, we ate like right where the bomb went off. And there's a picture of me taken with my sign. You can see the mailbox right behind me, which is where the first bomb was set.
Oh,
But in my head, that's where I wanted to be because I knew that was a good spot. I could see him. I could see him finish.
yeah.
That's where I actually wanted to be that next day. So we get ready to go the next morning, and he gets on the commuter train at like 5:50 in the morning, and
Yeah.
you know, I kiss him goodbye and say good luck, I love you, and off he goes.
Yeah.
I took the orange line in. I took the commuter train, and then I picked up the orange line, and then when I got into the city, which was like probably around noonish, I got in on the orange line, which was on the other side of the street
Okay.
that I was the night before.
Okay.
And I kept thinking, okay, how am I going to get to that spot?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, okay, I know how that's where I want to be. And so I kept, for hours, I was kind of cruising down each side, trying to pass, trying to get across. Could not get across. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, forget it.
Yeah.
I'm stuck right here.
So at this point, you're positioned near the finish line,
I
just
am a little bit
off-
past the finish line.
little past the finish line.
Not because I wanted to be, just because that's where I landed because of
Yeah.
all the people. So at this point, this woman introduces herself to me, and she says her name is Frida, and I'm like, "Hi, my name's Robin," and I can't tell you what she looked like. I just remember she had like kind of all taupe on. She had kind of an olive color skin. She had long brown hair. That's the strangest thing. Cannot tell you what she looked like. She introduced herself, and it was really chaotic, and she said that her daughter was running. She's normally there with her one daughter, but that she's not here. And can I just go with you?
Oh.
I was like, okay, you know.
Yeah.
So I start walking through, and she's behind me, and she's got my hand. Like she grabbed my hand right away. I was like, okay. She was probably like in her 60s,
Okay.
totally capable of
Yeah.
doing this on her own. So I'm like, all right. So we walk up. We go through all the people, we get through, we get to the finish line, like across from the mailbox,
Okay.
which is where I felt like I should
Wanted
be,
to
but on
be.
the other side.
Yeah.
Oh.
And we're probably about 15 people deep, and she says, Robin, she's pulling on my coat. We can't see anything here. Like, we can't see anything here. Where were you before?
Huh.
And I'm like, I was like right there, which was kitty corner, same side of the road, but where I wanted to be. It was like on the same side, just down at the end, a little bit. She's like, that's where my daughter said we should be. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, like I don't know this woman. Like, why is she
Yeah.
telling me that? How
Well,
would
yeah, or
she?
what to do,
Why
or-
would her? Yeah. So for some reason, I felt the need to go with this woman.
Okay.
Okay.
So I leave the finish line. You
You've
know,
finally kind of gotten where you wanted to be. And
and I was like, if it had just been me, I would have wiggled my
would've
way in.
stayed there. Yeah.
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 But I was like, all right, well, okay.
Whatever,
I felt like
I-
I should leave this woman. So
Yeah.
here we go. So I'm walking with this lady. We get to the corner, and I let go of her hand, or she let go of mine. And I turn around, split second, to say, you know, good luck to your daughter, you know, blah, blah, blah. I turn around, and she's gone. She's gone. So I just go back to my business. I start watching the race, and I'm at the finish line, but I'm past it. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like not very far, but enough where I'm seeing them come in, and like I guess this is just where I'm going to be because I don't have enough time to go back.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, just this huge explosion goes off, and
Oh.
you just felt it through your whole body, like it just reverberated through your whole body. 15 seconds later, and then the second bomb went off. So the first one, it was like chaos started, but then after the second one, it was like, okay. And I kept thinking to myself, okay, I would have been right there. If it hadn't been for this Frida woman, I would have been right there. So at that point, chaos just started. You know, everyone's running and screaming, and sirens start at that point.
Yeah.
And they just don't stop for hours. So I don't really know what to do, like
Yeah.
where to go. Scott's like
Hasn't finished
Scott's
yet.
not finished. He's like a mile and a half out. I called my parents' home line, left them
Yeah,
the
okay.
worst. My mother still has that voicemail.
Yeah.
And I called my dad, and I said, he was there, and I said, Dad, it's Ra, which is what my family all calls me, and my friends. I said, there's been bombs. And my dad's like, what? I'm like, there's been bombs. I don't know where Scott is.
Yeah.
I'm okay right now, but I don't know if there are more. We could see the medical tent from where we were. You could see all the people going into the medical tent, the sirens and the ambulances coming. And I'm like, this is not where I need to be. And all of a sudden I get a phone call from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And I pick it up, and it's Scott.
Oh.
He had borrowed a cell phone from one of
Yes.
the runners.
Okay. Got it.
So Scott is a fireman. He's a captain on the Spring Lake Fire Department. He goes into complete fireman mode.
Uh-huh.
He's like, Robin, you are the strongest person I know. You just start walking. I will meet you at Christine's house. Then my phone dies.
Yeah.
And I start walking the streets of Boston.
Yeah, I was gonna say everything's probably shut down
Everything
now,
is
right?
shut
So
down.
you can't. Yeah, 'cause no metro
No,
systems or
nothing.
anything like that.
And I don't know which direction I'm going in. I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
doing. I don't know where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
So for 2.5 hours, I walked the streets of Boston, trying to get to Winchester, which is where my friend Christine's house was. You think about things that you probably wouldn't normally on any given day think about. And it's stuff like, you know, if I were to leave today, what would I leave behind? Was I a good enough person? What mark do I leave on my community and on my kids? Was I a good enough daughter? A wife? A mom? And all of a sudden, I see him on the corner. And I go running to him, and he's standing there with his Mylar blanket on, and that's all in his runner stuff. And he's standing on the corner,
Incredible.
like glowing almost because it's sunny at that point. And I ran up to him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love you so much. And he says, I love you too. And he was 1.5 miles short of the finish line. I look at life very differently now. I look at it as you need to live your life with a purpose. You know, I feel like a lot of the way we live our lives, it's one thing to the next. We're going on to the next thing. We're going on to the next thing. And you got to stop. And I know it's very cliche, but you do need to smell the roses. You need to enjoy every day for the gift that it is, you know, because you might not have it. It might not be there the next day. I have kids to live for. I have amazing parents that raised a really strong, independent girl. And I'm more thankful for that than ever. You know, I have Scott, who's my amazing wingman in all this, and these two beautiful kids that I couldn't, that was the reason I kept walking.
Yeah. And Frida,
And Frida,
an angel.
you know, I truly believe that she's the one that took me away from that. But at the time, you don't know that. And then
Yeah.
after the fact, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, wow.
What was that?
Yeah, why would this complete stranger grab my hand?
And this is really directly related to your whole experience.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know how long it took them, or I don't even remember his name. But when they caught the person who did
Yeah.
commit this horrible
Yeah.
crime, what were you feeling?
When they showed the picture on TV, I actually didn't have anger. I had sadness. And it was partially, he was a young man, and I thought, okay, I have a young boy. Like, what happened to him that led him to this, to feel like he could do this to people? I felt sadness, actually. Being a mom and thinking he has a mother somewhere, you know? Like, there was a little bit of sadness there. But when they caught him, I thought, okay, of course there was a feeling of relief. I don't want to be angry about the whole thing, and I don't want to never go back to Boston or not go to public places, because then he wins. They win.
In what ways did your community help you? Like, how does a community, or how did you experience a community wrapping their arms around you? What does that mean, or what does that look like, so that maybe we can do it for others who are hurting, you know?
Yeah, you know, it was a matter of phone calls and text messages and cards and just an overall feeling of you'd be out and about, and, you know, I would get a random hug from somebody. Live life with a purpose, you know? It's really
Awesome.
important. Don't take
Awesome.
things for granted.
Thanks, Robin.
Thanks for
being
having
on the
me.
shared
Thanks
chair.
for sharing your story.